All right, welcome back. Give everybody a minute to jump on. Hope you're having a great week. We're kind of in the end of the week mode or end of the month mode for 2021, into the first month of the year. Hope everyone is doing well and um, has had a good month. All right, so we're just going to give everyone a chance to jump on. I'm Jason. Welcome back to another Thursday edition of Getting Real. I'm sorry, this is not Getting Real. This is Facebook Live. We can call it Getting Real. We're going to get real today. All right, just giving everyone a chance to jump on. I see a few folks. Hello and welcome. It's good to see everybody so far. Thank you for being here. Love it, love it, love it. All right, got a few people jumping on. So I wanted to start out today by we're gonna talk about a concept that I learned at Keller Williams. And for those of you that don't know, I spent about 5 years with KW as a team leader and broker before I came to Real back in 2016. And one of the things I always loved about KW is they really invest in leadership, and you have an opportunity to really take part in developing your personal leadership. And there's a couple of things that I think really come to the forefront when we talk about leadership. And you're a leader, by the way, right? Whether or not you have a team or you're leading a team, maybe you're a parent or a spouse or involved in your community, you're a leader on some level. And so I want to talk a little bit about leadership from a little bit of a different perspective. But to me, one of the great definitions of leadership is teaching people how to think so they can get what they want when they want it. Teaching people how to think so they can get what they want when they want it. And it led me to kind of thinking about a class that KW does called BOLD. Some of you may have heard about BOLD or taken part in a BOLD course in the past. BOLD is built around a series of what they call BOLD laws. And my favorite BOLD law is what I want to start with today. I have two that I really like. One that I really like as well is you are what you think about most of the time, right? Kind of garbage in, garbage out. You are what you think about most of the time. But my very favorite BOLD law is be, do, have. Be, do, have. And when I equate that to leadership, what I think about is are you real, pun intended? When you're interacting with prospects or clients, are you trustworthy and honest? Do you shoot straight? Are you real? Are you authentic? I think people appreciate that and actually desire that from the people that they're going to conduct business with or be in a relationship with, right? Are you real, trustworthy, straightforward, and come from contribution, right? Do you come from contribution? And what made me want to talk about be, do, have today and coming from contribution is a message that I had sent to me via DM that I thought was, at first it really annoyed me because it came from one of those late night troll kind of deals. And then the more I thought about it, it just was kind of funny. And I was reading it to my wife the other day, and she was crying because she was laughing so hard. They called me a frat boy partier or something like that, and I just thought it was really funny. So this is dedicated to that person. I'm not going to name names, and it's not anything anybody would ever see in public. It just got me thinking about, don't be that person, right? Whoever you are, don't be that person who sends stuff out randomly in the middle of the night that is really breaking people down or being negative, right? Again, garbage in, garbage out. It's our core value, one of our core values, right? Work hard, be kind. And in this case, I didn't feel it was exactly kind, but you take it with a grain of salt. And I do subscribe to the Gary Vee train of thought, right? It doesn't really bother me what other people think about me. By the way, do you guys like my haircut? Got one of those haircut things I've been hearing about after 8 weeks or 9 weeks. The last 7 weeks of barbershops being closed, I was able to finally get into one yesterday. So be, do, have. Let me talk a little bit about be, do, have before we jump into 36-12-3. So I want you to think about anybody that you've maybe envied in your life, right? Maybe it's that top producing agent in your marketplace. That person that does $50, $100 million a year, and it's like they're just sleepwalking through, and it just happens, right? And so when we talk about or think about the be, do, have concept, most of us, I'd say maybe like 90% of the time, we get it 100% backwards, okay? And we think about it like, if I could just have what that person has, right? If I could just have what they have, then I could do what they do and I could be just like them, right? So they look at it from, I have to have that, what they have, so I can do what they do, and then I could be just like them. And in reality, you guys, it's the exact opposite. Be, do, have. Who do you have to be, right? Let's start with ourselves, right? Who do I need to be so that I can go out and do the things I need to do so I can have what it is that I want to have, whether that's money, more time with my family. It doesn't really matter. But it starts with be. Who do I need to become in some cases? I think it was Mike Ferry years ago shared a quote that I just stuck with me over the years, and it's, how do I want to show up for others today? How do I want to show up for others? And to me, that kind of falls in line with the be, do, have, right? Because again, who do I need to be? And I might need to become that person, and that takes time, doesn't it? Doesn't it take time to invest in your own personal development so that you can be the person you want to be or need to be, so that you can then go out and do all the stuff that you need to do and get accomplished? That's the action stuff, which we're going to talk a lot about today. And then, ultimately have what it is that you desire to have, right? Again, that's different for everybody, right? If it's money, if it's time, if it's energy, if it's health, if it's more spirituality, if it's more compassion, if it's giving back, whatever it is, right? You need to be that person first, so that you can do what needs to be done, so you can have what it is that you ultimately want. So I just wanted to share that little story, and I'm going to dedicate that to that late night troll that that kind of got under my skin a little bit, if I'm being honest. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I got a good laugh out of it, and so did my wife. And she's been calling me a frat boy all week, and so I think that's pretty funny. All right, 36-12-3. What is that all about? Well, how can you do 36 transactions in a year? Well, in 12 months, right? So 36 transactions in 12 months by focusing on 3 hours of lead generation weekly, daily, 5 days a week. Okay, so you're gonna take a couple days off along the way. So I want to dig into this concept a little bit, and this is a series that I'll probably do over the next several weeks. We'll kind of dig into it a little bit more, but I'm actually going backwards. I don't know if I'm going to go backwards all the way through this, but I'm starting with the last session in this 36-12-3 series, because I think it's important with that be, do, have concept to really think about, hey, if we could get there, what is that going to look like for us, for our families, for our businesses, right? If we could get there. So I wanted to kind of start at the ending a little bit, right? Because I think it's important that we begin with the ending in mind, right? We have to think about, where do we want to go, right? You guys have heard the theory, which I subscribe to, that success is a journey, not a destination, right? There's a lot of points along the way that we're going to hit. So I want to kind of paint that picture a little bit. Like, what is it going to look like when we get there? And then over the next few weeks, we'll kind of work our way backwards and get into some stuff. So I want to start with a little exercise today, and we're gonna go through a couple of exercises today. But I want you to write down a couple of things. If you could, just if you have some paper or something like that. I want you to write down lead generation activities. Give yourself a little space. Then I want you to write down my ahas from these activities. My ahas from these activities, and I want you to then give you a little more space on there, and then the next one I want you to write down is the most difficult part of these activities. The most difficult part of these activities, and then a little more space, and the last one is what I will do differently in the next 24 hours. Okay, so you should have written down lead generation activities, my ahas from those activities, what are the most difficult parts of those activities, and what will I do differently in the next 24 hours. So I want to ask you guys a few questions on that. In the first section there, I want you to list out all of the lead generation activities you've done in the past 24 hours. Just start listing them out. What lead generation activities have you actually done over the past 24 hours? Hopefully you've got a list. Not a short list or a blank page, I guess I should say, but an actual list. What lead generation activities have you done over the past 24 hours? Okay, and then let's go down to that next section, ahas. What are your ahas about those activities? Right? What do we think about when it comes to smiling and dialing, or calling our sphere of influence, or doing lead follow-up with people we met online or that we've been showing property to? What ahas do you have about those activities? Like, are they hard? Do you love them? Does it inspire joy, as the new catchphrase goes, right? What are your ahas about those activities? What challenges did you have, right? That's the next step there. What was the most difficult part? What challenges come up during the course of those activities? Right? There's always challenges. I used to struggle with making that first call, right? Just picking up the phone. And a lot of my prospecting, especially early on, was calling around listings and sales, right? I didn't have any listings or sales early on, right? I was basically going through the MLS and finding new listings that just hit the market in areas that I wanted to do business in. And I knew those agents probably weren't calling, so I would call them, right? And I would just say, hey, it's Jason. I'm with ABC Real Estate. And the reason I'm calling is there's a new listing that just came on the market in your neighborhood. Didn't say it was my listing. Didn't say it was my company's listing. Just said there's a new listing in the neighborhood. Maybe you saw the sign. If you're curious, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. It's listed for $350,000. I'm just calling to find out, who do you know who might like to move into the neighborhood, right? I just go through the script. So the challenges for me were always making that first call, because you're going into it that you're going to deal with a lot of rejection, a lot of negativity, right? So to me, making those types of calls, those cold calls, if you will, one of the things I really got out of it, because I made 100 contacts every single day, right? I didn't go home. My job wasn't finished until I made at least 100 contacts, not dials, 100 actual contacts, and go through my script. 5 questions with each of those contacts. Then my day was over. And one of the reasons I did it wasn't just to try to drum up business. That was certainly the goal, right? But the challenge was also getting good at the scripts, right? I talk a lot about mastery, and I talk a lot about working towards mastering scripts and dialogues, working towards mastering your presentation skills, working towards mastering your follow-up skills, right? So for me, it was practice. I knew if I was going to talk to 100 people, that over a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, because I was actually doing it every day, I was going to end up, just because I'm doing it, I was going to get better. I was going to master that part of it, right? So calling around listings and sales, and again, just pulling them right out of the MLS in markets where I wanted to do business, in neighborhoods I wanted to take listings or find buyers for. That's it. That's all I did. But the toughest one for me, my biggest challenge, was making that first call, right? And really, it's probably making the first 5 calls, if I'm being honest, because I knew probably that it was going to be click, click, no, don't call me again, click, right? So the goal, I made it a game. The goal was get through the script, right? And I wouldn't take a break until I got through that first entire script. I got that first person who actually I was able to get through the whole script, right? And then I would take like a 5-minute break. And I would try to do 3 hours a day. And there were some days, honestly, it took 5 hours to get to 100 contacts, right? And so what I like to do is I blocked out a 3-hour window, and I would call for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, take a 5 or 10 minute break. And I usually walk outside, just get some fresh air. I remember at that time, our office, there was a 7-Eleven next door, so I got to know the 7-Eleven folks really well. I might go over there and get a cup of coffee or something like that, but just walk around the block, come back in and get right back to it. 20, 25 minute segments, and then take a 5 or 10 minute break, right? You got to step away from it. You can't just go power through, or you're going to burn out. So that was my biggest challenge, was just making that first call, that first contact, getting through the script the first time, right? Those were things that I felt were pretty challenging. So think about that. Think about, what topics or discussions can you do differently? What things can you do differently over the next 24 hours to overcome those, right? And sometimes it's just making the first call. It's just making that first call, right? That gets you through it. Okay. All right. Let's move. And I want to read something to you guys. And normally this would be like a handout, and you guys could read through it and kind of highlight things that jump out to you. But I'll kind of read it, not like I talk, so a little bit slower. But I want you to just kind of, maybe as I'm reading through this quickly, write down things that jump out to you. Just anything that jumps out to you from what I'm reading here, just write it down. And then I want to see you post it into the comments. What's jumping out to you? Let's see this in the comments so we can maybe start a little bit of a dialogue and help other people. So I'm just going to read this quickly. And it's called Ready to Go 200 Miles Per Hour. And that's a question. So in other words, are you ready to go 200 miles per hour? Do you want to close 36 transactions or more a year? If you are, then you need to consider yourself a Ferrari and ask yourself, are you ready to go 200 miles an hour? Are you really ready to go 200 miles per hour? Here's the thing, you can do it, but wishing for it is not going to get you there. You have to do the activities to achieve it. And it's business planning. It's planning out your goals and putting something in writing that commits you to going 200 miles per hour, right? So if we break this down to a simple form, if you want to grow your business, you need to have written goals. Business planning is all about the goals. So you set a goal, then you monitor your progress towards it, right? You track that. And then probably the hardest part is you stay accountable to it. So what type of accountability do you need? Do you know where you're going? Are you ready to put your foot on the gas? If you are, then the 36-12-3 can really work for you. So what jumped out at you guys? Let's see some stuff in the comments based on that. To me, when I read this, and I hadn't read it for a long time, is, am I ready to go 200 miles an hour, right? Am I really ready? Like, do I have the systems in place? Do I have the accountability in place? Am I willing to track everything, right? And I love Diane's comment here. It's easy once you start, right? It's easy, but it's not simple. Does that make sense? Because we tend to complicate things, don't we? Right? Wendy, 200 miles per hour requires a support team, right? Not sure how to cross that line, right? So that's a great point, right? Again, do you have the people? Do you have the systems? Do you have the tools in place that's going to let you actually go 200 miles per hour, right? That's what it really comes down to. But that's what jumped out to me first was, am I ready? Like, am I really ready and prepared to go that fast? And for most of us, we may not be, and that's okay. That's cool. We can work our way towards that, right? You just got to start baby stepping it in terms of, to me, the first thing and probably the most important thing when it comes to doing the activities, doing the work that is required to get to your goals is consistency. You have to be consistent. And isn't the nature of real estate kind of designed to make us inconsistent just by nature, right? It's like we got a billion things we have to do every day, right? Files and marketing and client issues and transaction issues, and oh my gosh, don't even get me started on the other agents that I got to deal with, right? There's all this stuff and all these timelines and deadlines and issues, and then, oh, by the way, life happens, right? And your daughter comes in and goes, Dad, I need a ride to my boyfriend's, and forget about the fact that he lives 45 minutes away. You know, it's like, can't you get a local boyfriend? You know, so I get it. We all struggle with it. So how do you build in that consistency where you can be in an environment that will support your habits, that will encourage your habits, that will enable you to be who you need to be so you can do what you need to do and have the things you say you want to get, right? So that it's consistency, doing the work consistently every day, right? And you've heard me say this if you've been around a while, do those most important things early in the day, right? Because life happens. Right? So do your lead generation, do your lead follow-up, do the things that make you money early in the day so that they're done, right? You can cross them off and you can deal with life and other things that come up. Anything else jump out at you guys? That's kind of reading through that. Cassandra says yes. I'm just going to agree with her. Yes. All right. So let's jump ahead. I'm sorry, I've got two screens open here, so I'm just kind of scrolling through. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this next thing because I think we talk about it a lot, but there's a couple of things that I really want to talk about. And what I'm mentioning here is your big why, right? You've heard that, the big why. What's your big why? what gets you up out of bed and motivates you every day to do the things you need to do to build your business. What is your driving force? Again, just daily motivation, right? And we all need that. We all need something that, here's what's really driving me, and this is what I consider to be my big why. So there's two things I want to talk about on the big why, and then we're gonna move on, okay? And I've talked about this stuff before, but the first thing when it comes to your big why that I want you to understand is, and maybe there's three things, but the first thing is, it's not always easy to really grasp what your big why is. And here's the challenge with it, you guys. We tend to just kind of stay on the surface with this. Well, my big why is my family, my kids, my family. That's what motivates me. That's my big why. And that's a perfectly fine big why. What I'm going to suggest, however, is that you examine that a little bit deeper, right? I call it scuba diving, right? Don't stay on the surface with your big why. Don't just float on the surface. I want you to scuba dive and go a little bit deeper and examine, why is that your big why? What is it about your family? Like, what is the benefit of your family driving you every day, right? Is it more time with them? Is it a better life? Is it vacations? What is it? That's the reason for it's your big why. So examine why you chose whatever it is you choose to be your big why as your big why. Okay? That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I'll say about the big why is it will change over time. Okay? It will change over time. Why? Because as you achieve your goals, as you close more deals, as you make more money, your priorities are just based on the season of your life, right? If you've got young kids, that's going to be a big motivating factor for you. But as they grow up and eventually leave the nest, as it tends to happen, those priorities might change. In fact, they will. So be okay with that. What is your motivating factor, your big why today, probably won't be your big why in 5 years, right? And think about it like this. Think about, where were you 5 years ago in your life? What did your life look like 5 years ago? Not that long ago, but long enough ago to realize that it's not what it was today compared to 5 years ago, is it? It's a lot different probably for most of us. All right, that's all I'm going to say about the big why. But again, when I say, more than surface, scuba dive on it, right? It's about more than just paying the bills. It's about more than just getting by. It's about being better than average, right? And I say this all the time, and I say this in a totally joking manner, okay? So, what is average? What's the benefit of being average? Think about, I have an average life. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I live in an average house. I drive an average car. I've got average kids. I got an average spouse. My dog's average, right? He brings the ball back when I throw it, like most dogs. He's average. How do you feel about that? Is that what you want? You want to be average? Now, being better than average doesn't mean you're better than anybody else, right? It just means that you're not going to settle, that you're willing to do things that most other people may not be willing to do to get the things that you really want in your life, or to live the type of life you want. And that's different for all you guys, right? I mean, your motivations are different, your desires are different, your goals are different. And again, that will all change as you mature through life, right? But it should be more than just about paying the bills. Okay? I don't just want you guys to get by. I want more for you. And believe me, I've coached people where I've wanted more for them than they wanted for themselves. Trust me, we fall into that trap. We really, really do. So I want you to think about your big why. I want you to scuba dive on it, go deeper than just the surface, and really dig into why is that what's motivating you to do the things. And then pay attention to, as you go through these different cycles or seasons of your life, if that's changing, embrace that. It means you've done something great. You've accomplished a goal, and you're ready to move on to that next level, right? And that's what's really cool. All right. Some other things that you need to consider. I'm going to glance over some of this because there's some meat and potato stuff I want to get into here. But you've heard me talk about the 4 models before, right? And as you're building your business plans, and especially as you're really focused on getting to that level of 30, 35, 40 transactions, you need to have an economic model that works for you, okay? And by that, it's understanding your money. I always love this question. If you're not watching your money, who is? If you're not watching your money, who is? So you need to pay attention to the economics of running a real estate business. And that's what you're doing. You're running a business. Your lead generation model is really the core of everything you do. And you've heard me say this a million times. Until you have enough leads to hit your goals, nothing else matters in your business. You need to have enough leads to be working with people, prospects, clients. And until you have enough to hit your goals, nothing else matters in your business. Now, other things do matter. You need to pay attention to some other things, but your income producing activities should be the priority. The budget model, which kind of ties in with the economic model, right? You need to have a budget, you need to stick to it. Don't spend your money before you have it, right? I love the concept of playing red light, green light, right? Do I need this right now and do I have the money? If the answer is no, red light, wait. If the answer is yes, okay, go ahead. Right? But you gotta have a budget, you gotta stick to it. And then as you grow and you're doing more business, do you think you need different systems and models to do 100 transactions versus doing 20 transactions? The answer is yes. You need more, better systems to do 100 than to do 20. Oh, and by the way, you're gonna need help. And that's where the organizational model comes in. What leverage, what people, who do you need to help you get there to that next level, right? So we'll talk more about those as we move through this. All right, and I really wish I probably should have done this through Zoom. Maybe I'll do it next week, but I want to kind of paint this picture for you of what does this look like? What does 36-12-3 really look like? Like if you could physically look at a picture, this is what it would look like. And I'll try to describe this as best I can. And what I want you to really understand is it might have been a while since you had to do some math and things like that. We're not going to do the math today, but there is some math that's required to really build this out so that you can understand things like how many leads do I need? What's my conversion rate? Like how many appointments do I need to go on? How many contracts do I need to get signed? Right? How many people do I need to talk to get an appointment? Things like that. Those are all already built out. We've done videos on those already. So, but I want you to understand kind of what 36-12-3 really looks like. Number one is you need to focus on the lead generation 3 hours a day. Okay? And there's two sides to this. So if we had lead generation up top, then it would actually break off one left side, one right side. And it might be left, right, depending, because we got to look at this from both sides of the coin, right? We work with buyers and we work with sellers. And so you can model this out from both sides, right? You're going to have a certain amount of sellers you work with every year and a certain amount of buyers and income coming in from both of those sources, right? So how many listing appointments do you need to go on? How many buyer appointments do you need to go on? Okay. I'm going to give you some numbers just for demo purposes here so that you can understand how this works and what the financial aspects of this could be. And I'm trying to see if I've got oh yeah, I do. It does have we're going to use these numbers already plugged in. It'll be different for you based on, your price point, your commission amount, sides, averages, and things like that. So let's go down the listing side first. And I want to talk about the listing side first because your business should be built on listings, right? That is the nature of this business. Are you in a really strong seller's market? Everybody raise your hand, right? It's a strong seller's market pretty much everywhere. And I understand it's tougher to get listings now. There's fewer of them out there, right? I get it. That means we just got to double down. Most people are giving up on that and they're going after the buyers. And what happens there? You get frustrated, multiple offers, they're losing out, they're dropping like flies, right? If you have listings, you will always naturally have buyers. They will, because you've got the listing, right? When you have listings, you should also easily be able to tie 2 or 3 transaction sites together, right? Your seller may be buying something, they're going to use you. You've got 2 transactions out of that one listing, right? Maybe they buy another one of your listings, or you find a buyer for that, right? So there, you see how you can chain those together. So I'm just going to give you the numbers, but let's start with keeping in mind 3 hours of lead generation every day for listings. So what you want to do is for listing appointments, and I'm just going to give you the actual numbers here, okay, that are plugged in this example. 34.6 listing appointments per year. 34.6. Let's just round it up and call it 35, okay? 35 listing appointments a year. That would be about 3 appointments a month. Okay, so let's think about that. 35 listing appointments in a year. Man, that's a lot. I got to really be hustling. I got to be that Ferrari, right? But then we chunk that down and go, wait a minute, it's only 3 a month. 30 days in a month, 3, it's not even 1 a week, right? 3 a month. It's a little easier to kind of swallow that pill, right? Versus 35 a year. 3 a month, okay? And another Mike Ferry quote comes to mind. If my job if your job is to list and sell real estate, how come we don't do it more often? If you did 5 deals last year, I would recommend do all 5 in the first quarter of the year and take the rest of the year off. If you're only going to do 5 deals or 10 deals, do it in the first 3 or 4 months of the year and take the rest of the year off. Go do something else. But if our job is to list and sell real estate, how come we don't do it more often? 3 appointments a month. It's not that much, right? All right. In order to hit the goal, we're getting there, you need to convert 80% of those appointments. Okay? Meaning 8 out of 10. They got to sign the listing contract with you. That's the floor. That's the floor, not the ceiling. Get 90, 95, 100% if you can, but get 80% no matter what. Okay? You got to take 80% of the listing appointments you go on. Get those converted into contracts. All right, here's what you need to do. If you did that, if you went on 3 a month and you converted 80%, you would take 27.7 listings per year. Let's round it up and call it 28. About 2.5 a month. Again, easier pill to swallow. 2.5 a month. And it's actually 2.3, so let's just call it 2. Take 2 a month. Okay? Now, on the listings that you take, you need to have a conversion rate of at least 65%. Meaning 65% of the listings you take actually sell. Now, we know some are not going to sell because they expire. Not really in this market. Don't need to worry about that too much. Maybe the plans of the seller change, that they were going to sell and move to another state for a job. The job falls through. Now they're not moving. Happens. Maybe you take that listing in mid-December and it's not going to close until the next year. So you're not going to count it in this current year. It'll count for next year. Even though you took the listing this year, it doesn't actually close. But 65% of the listings you take need to sell. That's a pretty good low threshold, another good floor, right? 65% in this market, because it's such a strong seller's market. 90% really should probably be selling. And that's if not 100, right? Some of them you might have to sell twice. If it falls out, the buyer backs out. But don't we have to sell every listing 3 times anyway? Got to sell it. First, you got to sell the price to the seller. Then you got to sell it to the buyer, and then you got to sell it to the appraiser. And then really maybe 4 after the inspections, the buyer wants to rework the deal, right? But 65% conversion rate, okay? So if you did that, that means 18 listings a year would sell. 18 a year would sell 1.5 a month, okay? So raise your hand if you did 18 sales last year. Put it in the comments. Who did 18 sales last year? Alan's got to get organized. Anybody on the session do 18 transactions closed last year? We're not bragging, we're just sharing. If you did, put it in the comments. Just say, I closed however many you closed. Most of you probably didn't close 18 last year. That's cool, no judgment. I'm just saying, how would your business look? And if you're in a market like mine in San Diego, if you did 18, average commission of, let's say, $10,000 net, I'm not a math whiz, but 18 times 10,000, that's 180,000. Anybody make that last year besides Alan? I like picking on Alan. He's a good dude. All right. So 18 listings sold a month, a month. That'd be really good. A year. It's 1.5 a month. So you just got to close 1.5 of your listings a month. Okay. In the example that we're looking at here, their average price is $250,000. Yours is probably higher than that. Cool. Good for you. It's awesome. But on $250,000 average sales price, using a 3% commission, because we're really good at what we do and we don't discount, that would be a $7,500 average commission check on your listing sold. $7,500 per side on the listing side. Okay. Now, again, using their examples, your gross commission from those listings sold would be $135,000 a year, or $11,250 a month. Again, raise your hand or put in the comments who made who made $11,250 a month last year? Anybody make $11,250 a month every month last year? I didn't, but not too far, right? I'm not selling real estate really anymore, but you get the point. All right, here's the good news. That's just on the listing side. We haven't even factored in the buying side yet. So let's walk through what it looks like on the buyer side, right? Focus your lead generation activities on the listings. You will always have buyers. So on your buyer side, you got buyers coming to you because you got signs up, you're marketing on the internet, you got your Zillow going, you got everything working, and people are coming to you because you got all the listings now, right? So here's what the numbers on the buyer side. You need to have 34.6 buyer appointments per year. Does that sound familiar? How many listing appointments do we need? I think we rounded it up to 35 buyer appointments a year. That's 3 a month. Awesome. I got you to 6 appointments a month. You're welcome. 3 listing appointments, 3 buyer appointments. By the way, some of those buyer appointments could be your sellers who you're also going to help buy a home once you've got theirs into escrow. Those are buyers. The best buyers, in fact. The best buyers are your sellers who are under contract because you did such a great job to get their home sold, and they're going to use you to buy. Wouldn't you rather have those buyers in your car than the ones who always got to bring mom and dad and they're not sure about their financing and they got as a minimal down payment and they've written 14 offers and haven't gotten one accepted, or worse, they've gotten a couple accepted and they backed out? You don't want those buyers. You want the best buyers who are your sellers who are under contract and going to use you to buy as well, right? 3 buyer appointments a month. 1 or 2 should come from your sellers, okay? You need a 65% conversion rate versus an 80% on the listing side. So meaning you only need to get 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 if you want to round it up, to sign with you. And by the way, if buyer brokerage agreements are a thing in your market, you should be using them. I understand not everybody does. Would you put a house on the market without a listing contract? Say no. Why would you put a buyer in your car without a buyer broker agreement? I'm just asking, no judgment. All right, good news. You only need to convert 65 of those buyer appointments into contracts, where they're going to work with you exclusively because they see your value, they appreciate your trust, they appreciate your honesty, they appreciate your authenticity. They are not going to send you random negative messages in the middle of the night over Messenger. So there you go. All right. So your listings your buyer listings taken should be 22.5, let's call it 23 a year versus 28 on the listing side. That's 2 a month versus 3 a month on the listing side. So convert 65%, you're going to have 2 buyer broker agreements signed and get to work. And by the way, get yourself a showing agent. Let them drive them around and show them, and then you give them a little cut of the deal. It doesn't cost you anything out of pocket, and you help groom the next generation of amazing real estate agents. Right? There you go. So you're gonna get those conversion rates to about 80% of your buyers actually buying a house. Okay, 8 out of 10. Okay, so 36 transactions. We got to divide that up, and we're gonna split it up 50-50. So that would be 18 listings sold per year, 18 buyer controlled sales per year. I would rather see that more like 80-20 on the listing side. 80% of your business coming from listings sold, 20% of your total business coming from buyer controlled sales. Okay? But it's probably, if you're younger in your career, going to be more like 50-50, 60-40, something like that. Okay? We're going to use the same average sales price, $250,000. $7,500 average commission. So the GCI from your buyer side would be pretty much the same if it's a 50-50, $135,000 a year, $11,250 a month. Let's add those 2 things together, and this is where it gets good. This is where it gets fun. This is where it gets excited. $270,000 a year in gross commission income, or $22,500 per month. Who wants to make $22,500 a month? Everybody should say yes. All right, so that's kind of the basic formula just on the lead generation. That's all 3 hours a day, you guys. 3 hours a day, hitting your numbers, right? And by the way, that is going to fluctuate the income based on your average sales price and what you're charging, and I understand that, on the listing side, you control what the commission's going to be, okay? On the buyer side, we're kind of obligated to accept whatever's offered in the MLS, so that's going to vary a little bit. That's cool. Could you make it up if in your market 2 or 2.5% listings are kind of the norm? So you know you're going to take a little bit of hit there, but you're pretty good at getting 6% listings. And by the way, I have a lot of agents in California, some of them on this call today, that are doing that consistently, 6% commissions. Maybe something to think about is get it at 6%, offer 2.5% to the buyer broker if that's the going rate in your market, and you keep 3.5%. So something to think about. Don't you do more work on the listing side? Don't you have more expenses on the listing side? You paying for staging? You paying for photos? You got to put the lockbox up. You got to put it in the MLS. That takes time and energy. You might have some showing instructions that require you to be there for every showing, so there's time and gas to get there. Don't feel bad about keeping a little bit more because you're doing more work and you've got more expenses. I understand not everybody rolls like that, but that's okay. You're not everybody. You're not average, are you? That's what I love about this business. You know, there's 4 ways you can make more money in real estate. One of them is you can charge more for your services, right? Charge 7%, keep 4, offer 3. That's even better. Everybody wins, right? Maybe you don't get 7%. I used to offer a menu of commission amounts, 6, 7, or 8%. And I'd let the seller choose. Here's what you get for 6%. Here's what you get for 7%. Here's what you get for 8%. Guess what they always chose almost all the time? 7. Because nobody wants to pay top dollar, 8%. Nobody wants to be cheap, 6%. Everybody wants to be right there in the middle, and they would just choose the 7%. I'd pay 3% buyer broker, I'd keep 4%. Charge more for your services, make more money. Other way you can make more money, sell more expensive houses. Raise your average sales price. If your average price is $350, what do you need to do to get to $500 on average? Right? Make more money, same amount of work, sign me up. You could save more, don't spend as much to run your business. Here's the thing about that, it's important, as I mentioned, to watch your expenses, have a budget, play red light, green light. You cannot save your way to profitability. So spending less on your business in and of itself won't get you there, but it's part of the puzzle, okay? Charge more, sell more expensive, save, and the 4th way is, just close more deals, right? If you closed 5 last year, close 10 this year, close 20 next year, close 30 the following year. Just do more transactions. You're gonna make more money, all right? So I just kind of want to walk you through what does that 3 hours of lead generation look like in terms of where your focus needs to be and what the realities of working that system could be for you, right? And again, if your average price is more than $250, awesome. You're making 15 or you're making 30,000 a month. By the way, I hope everybody experiences that at some point. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. I hope everybody experiences that at some point, making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in a month. I remember a few years ago, my wife, we have some friends and good clients that were buying some apartment buildings and things like that, and then they found this beach house they wanted to buy, and they had to sell, I think it was a 12 or 15 unit apartment building to get the money to buy the beach house, which was I think 3.2 million or something like that. And they also refinanced another I think it was an 8 or 10 unit building that my wife had sold them to get the rest of the money. And I remember I went with her to pick up her check and the closing statement and the seller's closing package to deliver it to them. And we're driving on the freeway, and I remember it was like it was yesterday. And I said, "Man, babe, you had $100,000 a month. How awesome is that? $100,000 a month." And she was driving, we're in her car, and she's got one hand on the steering wheel, and she's looking all, cool. She looks at me, she says, "Babe, I had $100,000 day." I was like, "Yeah, you've never been hotter to me than right now." Anyway, have a $50,000 a month. Have a $100,000 a month. It's awesome. It's the best thing ever. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the lead generation model, and I think we'll kind of wrap it up with this. I don't want to keep you guys all day, but we'll work more on this. But I do want to mention a couple of things. And someone asked me this question: what's the shortest path to profit? What is the shortest path to profit? So if you really want to reap the greatest profits, right? That's the goal. How do I reap the greatest profits? Then your lead generation plan should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So what does that mean? Well, I'll put it to you like this. What is the difference between selling and marketing? The difference between selling and marketing. Well, marketing is what you do to get in front of the prospect. Selling is what you do when you're in front of them. Are you with me on that? So when we say prospecting based, marketing enhanced, what that means is you have to actively be doing things that generate business. In other words, going out and making things happen versus waiting for something to happen. Okay? And then you enhance those activities with marketing. I'll give you an example. You do an open house, people come in, right? That's active prospecting. You're looking for buyers and sellers during the open house. Then the marketing enhancement piece is you follow up with everybody that came and signed in and gave you their contact information with some sort of marketing, right? It could be a drip campaign. It could be, hey, thanks for coming to my open house at 123 Main Street. Here's a little snapshot of what's going on in the market, what's recently sold, what's under contract, and I'll keep you apprised of what's happening with new listings. If you're interested, just opt into this email, right? So we're enhancing what we did face-to-face during the open house or on the phone, if that was the way we connected, or they came through an online lead in some capacity from a Zillow, from something else, but you're enhancing that prospecting with marketing, right? So you're getting more bang for your buck, so to speak, right? So I'm gonna read you a little story here. It says, and this is from a top agent in Texas, saying newer agents typically have lots of time and very little money. So what can you do with a lot of time and very little money? You can make phone calls and you can try to connect and reach out. You can get better results and earn a higher profit by prospecting and earning the business than by trying to buy the business. Right? Now, if you have the money to do some marketing, by all means do it, but do it smart. Don't buy the business, right? You don't want to spend money, you don't want to spend, $10,000 to make $5,000, right? Don't walk around a dollar to pick up a dime, so to speak, right? You want to spend $10,000 to make $100,000. So if you're able to do that, then do it, but do it smart. If you're not, you need to start figuring out other ways to get in front of people, to connect with people. And so you're actively prospecting and enhancing that effort with marketing, okay? So I'm gonna give you some ratios here on the conversion. We kind of went through this in the formula, but I'm gonna break it down a little bit more. So for the lead generation conversion, this is how it works out. 12 to 2, and 50 to 1. So let me explain what I mean by that. 12 to 2 is if you are consistently marketing to people that you know, people that you have actually met with in your database, your sphere of influence, your clients that have worked with you before, right? If you're actively and consistently marketing and communicating with that group, which we call the METs, people you've actually met, the ratio is for every 12 people, it should generate 2 transactions a year. That's good, easy math, right? If I want to do 20 deals, 2 times 10, 12 times 10, 120 people in that database that I've met that I need to consistently market to. So for every 12 people I know who I consistently market to, I should generate 2 transactions a year from that group, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that 2 people in that group are going to buy or sell with you. Maybe you'll have one person who actually transacts and then another one that refers you somebody who transacts, right? Or maybe it's 2 referrals. But the goal, the idea, the formula works out for every 12 people you know that you consistently market to, you should generate 2 transactions a year. Good, fun math to do. 50 to 1. What is that? Well, it's the other group. People you don't know, people you haven't met, people you haven't transacted with. Cold calls, right? Random strangers off the street that you've never met. That group is for every 50 people that you talk to, communicate with consistently, you'll generate 1 transaction a year. So here's the question. Who should you be spending more time with? People you know or people you don't? especially if you're newer to the business. I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing I would do if you're in the first year of your business and you haven't done this yet, or if you're 5 years in and you haven't done this yet, gather the horses, circle the wagons around everybody you know. Wrap your arms around them, get them in your Chime database, and then put together some sort of a marketing drip campaign. Call everybody. How's it going? I'm in real estate. I just started in real estate. I'm still in real estate. It's the beginning of the year. We're coming out of a pandemic. How are things going? You guys healthy, happy, safe? Awesome. Set a good goal this year. I want to help 20 families buy or sell or invest in real estate. Who do you know could use my services? Start there. Do that. That could be 3 hours a day alone, right? Just the people you know. You got to circle the wagons on those guys, all right? So 12 to 2 or 50 to 1. You choose. You choose. All right. So let me give you the breakdown on that, okay? So here's what here's what these mean, those ratios, 12 to 2 and 50 to 1. Here's what they mean if you want to close 36 transactions this year, okay? You need 216, write that number down, 216 people that you know, your Met database in your database. Let me just read what it says here so I'm not confusing you. You need 216 Met contacts if you're only working with Mets. So if that's all you're going to rely on this year to close 36 deals is people you know, people you've met, you need 216 people that you need to consistently talk to generate the 36 transactions. 216. The 50 to 1 is you need 1,800 haven't met people if you're only going to work with the haven't met group. Okay? Here's the good news. It's probably going to be a combination of Mets and haven't mets, right? So what is that? If we are going to work a combination, you need to determine how many you're going to work with on each of those ends. But the goal should be, the focus should be 75% come from the Mets, right? So if you combine those, it'd be 2016 people total. 2016 with 75% of 216, that should come from the Mets, 25% from the haven't Mets. Okay, so there you go. All right, I'm going to leave it at that in terms of that stuff today. But before we depart, I want to see if there's any comments or any questions about what we discussed. Next week, what I'm going to walk through with you guys is the actual marketing activities, the actual prospecting activities you need to do. We're actually just going to spell it out for you. How do I market to the Mets? What does it look like? What mailing pieces do I send? What postcards? What emails? What do I say when I call them? I'm going to literally walk you through what that looks like. Okay? I love Jessica's take here. Wow, I never thought of making my split higher. Yeah, charge more. You're worth it. I promise. I promise. Advice for a first-time realtor. Avi, yeah, I just gave it to you. Start getting everybody you know into your database and contacting them. Send them a little note, handwritten, with your business card. Hey, it's Avi. How you doing, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Or Uncle Bob, or Aunt Sally, or Mom? As you may have heard, I've just started my real estate career. I joined this amazing company called Real Broker. I'm super excited to get started. I could really use your help. These people know you, they trust you, they love you, and they want nothing more than for you to be successful in your new endeavor. All you need to do is ask them for help. That would be all I would do until I started getting business going. Avi, circle the wagons on the people you know and ask them to help you be successful in your new endeavor, right? Think about your background too. I had this lady that used to work for me that was just killing it, doing such a great job. And one day she called me and said, hey, can we meet? I have some questions. I said, sure. So we got together and she said, I'm just really struggling because I don't really, I've been doing okay, just kind of meeting people and people kind of gravitating to me for whatever reason, but it's not by design. It's just kind of happening. And I'm just really concerned about where my business is really going to come from. Like as I'm building my business, where is it going to come from? And I said, Kim, what did you do before real estate? She said, well, I owned a hair salon. I said, bingo, there you go. People who let you cut their hair and style their hair and color their hair are going to let you help them buy or sell houses, right? So you need to build that database of that people and start getting in front of them, right? They want you to be successful. You've taken great care of them. You have great service skills and customer skills. You need to get them into the fold, right? Good job, Abby. I love that. 400 family and friends this week. So I'm on the right path. You are. Now it's just circling back to them, sending them all, like I said, a handwritten thank you card with your business. Ask them, hey, are you interested in what's happening in your market? I can send you a market report. We have a great tool built into our app and into our website, which is Cloud CMA. Offer them a free market analysis if they're already homeowners. They probably don't know what the market's doing. Values have gone way up, right? And people are interested in buying. Send them a buyer questionnaire. What's your time frame? What does your financing look like? What areas do you want to live in? What type of property are you interested in? What amenities do you want, right? And just get that work started, and let them kind of think about and kind of simmer on how you can help them and what it is they're really trying to accomplish, right? So that's the next step for you. Vinay, what's up, Vinay? I'm glad to see you on here today. Vinay, by the way, I just want to give him a little shout out. He's kind of a newer agent with us in California. And just doing a great job putting deals together, getting deals closed. I'm super proud of you, man. Keep it up. And so his question is there marketing material I can give a client when they close, asking them for referral, offering them a referral reward? Yeah. There's so many great things out there, man, that you can use, Vinay. One that I would check out that one of our new mega producing team leaders just shared with us is called Client Giant. You can go to clientgiant.com. It's kind of a subscription service, and they have different levels, but for I think as little as $100 a month, you can send gifts that are super cool things, not kind of your run-of-the-mill stuff. These are really fun, kind of out-of-the-box, hip kind of things that get sent every month on your behalf. So it's going to be a year long of them every month getting something from you. And it's just a great way to reach out and, hey, did you get the gift box this month? What was it? Oh, awesome. By the way, who do you know? So you might want to check out Client Giant. Otherwise, there's lots of other things you can do. I know a lot of people love Cutco, the knives, because they're engraved and everybody uses a knife. Every home has a kitchen, right? As my buddy Eric says with Cutco. And people like to spend time there. Hey, so Alan, you can go right to cloudcma.com. It's integrated into the app. So if you go into the app and choose to do a home valuation, that's the engine that drives that is Cloud CMA. But you can go in and set the account up on cloudcma.com. If you have any questions, just reach out to support. And they can steer you in the right direction on that. All right. Good questions. All right, so listen, I wanted to mention tomorrow we have our Zoom national call at 10 a.m. Pacific. I hope you guys can jump on that. The following week, so a week from tomorrow, will probably be an abbreviated one, if we do one at all, on Friday and Thursday next week. I have the California Association of Realtors directors meetings all next week, and I'm not sure if I've got stuff booked at the times that we normally do this, so that will go out in the Monday newsletter, so pay attention to that, just so you know what's happening. The following Friday, however, so 2 weeks from tomorrow, I'm going to have a special guest that's going to be joining us, who is she's a real estate agent. She's not with us, but she's specializes in investments. And so she's going to kind of share her perspective from a real boots on the ground, kind of nitty gritty, knee deep in that segment of the business. And there's two things I really love about Ashley. One of them is what I talked about today. She's super real, super authentic, super fun. The second thing I love about Ashley is she's pretty young, age-wise, and she is absolutely killing it right now and has been for a couple of years. She worked for a team when I was at my last brokerage for a while, and then since went out and is kind of doing some different stuff. But I've just been so impressed. I don't see her very often, obviously, because of the pandemic, but I follow her on Instagram and see all the work that she's doing. And the way she's doing it is what is really intriguing to me. So I want you guys to kind of hear a story or get some perspective from kind of a younger agent, both age-wise and business experience-wise, who is just absolutely killing it in a certain segment of the market. And so she's going to come on and share some insights with you guys. That'll be in 2 weeks. And then lastly, and I might have mentioned this last week, if not, I just wanted to congratulate Joe Wagaman, who's been our regional growth director in California for the past couple of years, for taking on the new challenge of Director of Education and Training with Real Broker. I'm so excited for him. He's already doing a great job. If you guys didn't get the Bringing Your Business Plan to Life session he did earlier this week, you can go back and watch that. The recording link is, I think, posted in Real Collective. And then he's got coming up next week a really great class on blogging from somebody who's generating a ton of business from their blog. So definitely go to Real Collective, check that out, and sign up for those classes, which are all done through Zoom, and be part of that, because there's some really cool things coming down the pipe with Real Academy. I'm super excited for that, and you guys are going to get so much out of that. And you don't have to listen and see me every single week. Well, I'll still be here, but you get different points of view now, which is kind of cool. Just don't troll me late at night, or you will be the subject of a video. I'm kidding. I love you guys. I'm so happy you're here, and we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow morning or next week. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Bye.